Hey everybody, we are outside early this morning because we are going to divide some of our nepeta and move or transplant that division into the flower garden. I'm trying to fill my flower garden more and more with perennials so it's full. And nepeta grows really well and it's easy, and so I'm going to put nepeta in that garden too. It is, by the way, a very cool morning. We have these sometimes, if we've been lucky lately, that we have been having cool nights. So when you get up in the morning, it is nice and cool. And here's the nepetas over here that we are going to divide and transplant. I'm going to start with this one because this one over here, oops, sorry for the shadow, is the biggest one. And so that's the one we're going to start dividing first, and we'll see what we do with the other ones. Got all my tools. I'm going to wet this down a bit just to help me pull this apart a bit easier. This is a tough one, but we're getting it. All right, there's my division. Since it's still cool outside, I'm going to immediately take this over and plant it and get it watered. Here's what I'm going to do. So I do, and I know some people would say this is not the right way to do things, but I do have a mixture of things in this perennial flower bed that need more water than others, but a lot of it doesn't need that much water. I've tried to do it that way because of where we live. Now, if you've ever grown lamb's ear, you know they don't like to be overwatered. So what I'm going to do to fill the space in the front, which I sometimes do with annuals, and they just don't do well because I prefer not to have to water this too much. So I'm going to put a nepeta right in the front, and it will fill out completely that section. Now that I've got my hole dug, I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to add some water into this hole first, and then I'm going to put fertilizer, and then I'm going to plant the transplant. I'm adding a little bit of the dirt back into the hole on top of the fertilizer, just so the roots don't sit directly on that fertilizer. And now I'm going to cover it with the soil that was in the hole, just up to the crown. And as always, when we plant, we want to make sure that the roots are intact with the soil. So I'm pressing down so I make sure there are no air pockets. And lastly, I'm going to give it a good deep watering. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the one I divided. I'm going to water the soil, put fertilizer in, and then transplant that and water it again. And now to give this guy a big drink. right. So I'm going to do only this one today. And I may come back another morning, another cool morning, and divide some of the other ones. But as I was digging this one up, I remembered that it had landscape fabric around it, so there wouldn't be any weeds. And although my husband and I used to be a big proponent of landscape fabric, and I can't say that he's not still, but I have seen that even the landscape fabric can be a little detrimental to plants getting their biggest. So I am going to go through all of these and pull up the landscape fabric that's around them because I think it's actually keeping them smaller. So I'm going to do that, and then we're going to call it quits for the morning. I have pulled up all of the landscape fabric that is around each of the 6 nepetas and watered them. And nepetas don't like much water. And some of you may be thinking, why did I fertilize the first one? Because I've said before, nepetas really don't want fertilizer. But the reason I did that was because I divided it. I want to give it a little extra boost. That's all. So there they are. And hopefully we'll see some hopefully we'll see some bigger growth this year because that landscape fabric is gone. And we'll watch this one over here in the corner and make sure it's doing well after the division, along with this one that I divided and planted into my flower garden. I think that's going to be really pretty. I think it looks really good with the lamb's hair beside it on each side of it. And so I'm looking forward to eventually maybe dividing some more and putting them by the lamb's ear in the back of the garden. All right, I'm going to end on giving the birds a little bit of water in this bird bath. Tell you something about bird baths in New Mexico or anywhere that you live that it's arid. You can fill them up in the morning, and especially if we have wind, they're not going to last very long. That's going to evaporate. But I still like to fill it up, give the birds some morning fun, morning bath, because the morning is when the birds are most active, morning and closer to sunset. I hope you've enjoyed this video and it's been helpful for you. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Here's another video about nepetas that you might enjoy.